The 6-year-old girl thought it was fairy dust. A gift from the stars, delivered just for her. She dabbed the shimmering blue powder on her arms and face, wanting to sparkle for her family at the dinner table. She had no way of knowing she was painting herself with pure, unadulterated death. This is the story of the Goiânia accident, presented in the strange, dark, and mysterious style. If you're a fan of things that glow when they shouldn't, please gently tap the like button. But only after you've told it you're just running to the store for some milk, and we'll be right back. Our story begins in September 1987 in Goiânia, Brazil. In the ruins of an abandoned radiotherapy clinic, two men, Roberto dos Santos Alves and Wagner Mota Pereira, were scavenging for scrap metal. Their lives were a daily grind, a hunt for anything that could be sold to put food on the table. And on this day, they found the ultimate treasure. It was a heavy lead and steel cylinder, part of a teletherapy machine left behind by the clinic's owners. They didn't know what it was, but they knew it was heavy, and heavy meant valuable. With immense effort, they carted it back to Roberto's home. Inside the cylinder, nestled within a protective casing, was a small capsule. When they finally punctured it, they found something extraordinary. It wasn't just metal. In the dark, the capsule's contents emitted a soft, hypnotic blue light. It was mesmerizing, otherworldly. Roberto was captivated. He had discovered a star brought down to Earth. That night, he brought the glowing capsule into his house, a catastrophic mistake that sealed the fate of everyone he loved. The next day, Roberto proudly shared his find. He was a magnanimous man, and this was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. He invited friends and family to witness the magic. His brother, De Ver, was so enchanted he bought the capsule from Roberto. De Ver took the treasure home, convinced it held supernatural powers, or was at the very least filled with precious gemstones. He placed it in his living room as a centerpiece. His 6-year-old daughter, Lyda Neves, was mesmerized. She took the glowing blue powder cesium 137 chloride salt and rubbed it all over her body. While sitting on the floor eating a sandwich, she showed her father how she sparkled. The dust went from her skin to the bread to her stomach. In that moment of innocent joy, her fate was sealed. For a few brief, magical hours, the family was happy, unaware they were already ghosts. Within hours, the first signs appeared. De Ver's wife, Gabriela Maria, was the first to fall ill. She experienced violent nausea and dizziness. Soon, others who had been near the capsule developed the same symptoms. They went to a local clinic, where a doctor misdiagnosed them with a severe foodborne illness, likely from something they ate. They were given medication and sent home back to the very source of the invisible poison that was dismantling their bodies from the inside out. But their condition only worsened. Their hair began falling out in clumps. Their skin, where the powder had touched them, turned a dark, angry red before blistering and developing deep, necrotic lesions. This was no flu. This was an invisible war, being waged on a cellular level. There was no fire, no explosion, No gunmen, just a silent, invisible wave of energy, cooking them from the inside out. Gabriela Maria was the first to realize the connection. She suspected the glowing rock was to blame. She took the remains of the capsule, placed it in a plastic bag, and traveled by bus to a hospital, exposing everyone she passed. She slammed the bag on a doctor's desk and said, "This thing is killing my family." But as a precaution, a visiting medical physicist was called to examine the object. He brought with him a Geiger counter. As he approached the bag, the device started clicking. Then it screamed. The needle didn't just move. It slammed all the way to the right. The physicist backed away in horror. The radiation levels were over 1,000 times the lethal dose. The panic was immediate. Hazmat teams descended on Goiânia, quarantining entire city blocks. Houses were condemned, topsoil was removed, and personal belongings were confiscated. People were torn from their homes, not knowing if they would ever return. In the end, the biological toll was devastating. 4 people died in the initial weeks, including the little girl, Lady Dawes Nevis, and her mother, Gabriela Maria. The cesium-137 didn't care that light was only 6. It simply did what it was designed to do: tear apart her DNA, cell by cell. In her final days, her white blood cell count dropped to 0. She was so radioactive that the nurses could barely enter her room. She cried for her mother's touch, but a single hug would have been a death sentence. They had to die alone, isolated by the very radiation they had once found so beautiful. They weren't buried in wood. They were buried in lead-lined concrete coffins, encased in cement, sealed forever against the poison they carried. Hundreds of others were contaminated, many of whom would live with the scars, the cancer, and the guilt for the rest of their lives. The cleanup of Goiânia took months and generated over 6,000 tons of radioactive waste, which is now buried in a secured landfill on the city's outskirts, a permanent monument to a tragic mistake. The story serves as a terrifying reminder. Some things are not meant to be found. Some doors are not meant to be opened. And if you ever find a rock that glows, don't take it home. For more stories that are strange, dark, and mysterious, delivered in a creepy, monotonous tone, please check out our podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts.